Hey guys, okay, last video lesson on the little mini Crusades unit. And this is actually kind of fun for me because I've never had a chance to really teach the Knights Templar. And so it's kind of fun that the schedule fell to where, right here before we get out for Thanksgiving, we can kind of take the time and talk about the Knights Templar because they are kind of a cool organization in history to know about, and there's all kinds of intrigue and legend about the Knights Templar. So your bell ringer today, you had to obviously Google because I hadn't talked about the Knights Templar yet. But it's, what was their original purpose? Well, their original purpose was basically bodyguards for Christian pilgrims coming in and out of the Holy Land. Because obviously once the Turks started attacking Christian pilgrims, then they felt, okay, we need to protect our people as they go to and from Jerusalem. And so that is their origin. However, they end up becoming an elite force of soldiers during the Crusades. Like, you can kind of, like I've been telling students all day today, you can kind of compare the Knights Templar to like SEAL Team 6 or the Green Beret or something like that. You can kind of look at them that way. They become this kind of elite fighting force during the Crusades. And there's all kinds of like incredible stories about the Knights Templar and their valor in battle, and they would never surrender, and very, very again, dedicated soldiers to the cause. And first and foremost, they really were dedicated to taking back the Holy Land in Christianity's name, in God's name. And so they were very, very devout to not only their faith, but again, to the cause. So this video is just a real short, and when I say short, it's like less than 2 minutes. Little video just kind of about the very beginnings of the Templar. Okay, there we go. And this is going to be a pretty short video too, just for me talking, because in all reality, I am like nowhere near being the person to tell you all about the Knights Templars stuff. I mean, this is not my area of expertise. I know the basics. I mean, because I feel like who doesn't in a lot of ways, or at least, once you get up to my age, or maybe if you are around my generation, growing up watching things like, Monty Python and the Holy Grail and things like that. But if you haven't watched the Monty Python, like, you should. It's hilarious. But it's definitely satire and kind of like slapstick type of comedy. But anyways, so I've grown up knowing who they are and the legends again behind them. But as far as kind of giving you really detailed, interesting little sidebar stories, I'm sorry, I can't do that this time. So again, they go over there and they set up their headquarters actually at the site of King Solomon's temple. And of course, by the time that the Crusades happened, King Solomon's temple has been, burned to the ground, rebuilt, sacked again. And so, the Temple Mount is what's there, along with, a very famous, domed mosque. And that's where they set up their headquarters during and after the First Crusade. Well, supposedly while there and in the Holy Land, they come across a lot of really very, very important religious relics, like stuff like the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant and like the Shroud of Turin, and all of these, again, like kind of priceless religious artifacts. And they, after the fall of the Crusader states during the Second and Third Crusades, of course, they go back and they set up a base in France. Because if you'll remember from this week's earlier lessons, most of your Crusaders are coming out of France. And so, and they did too. And so they go back to France and they set up a base, and they become honestly kind of like bankers, because they have a lot of wealth that they have acquired in their journeys to and from the Holy Land. And so they're kind of almost like like a bank. Nobles would come to them and like borrow money, and stuff like that. Well, because they have all of this kind of power and prestige and almost like celeb status, they kind of challenge the authority of, the nobility, the king, even the Pope at times, because people, just love them. They're like the protectors of Christianity. I mean, that's what people looked at the Knights Templar as. And one particular French king, Philip IV, is going to lead his own crusade, unfortunately, against the Knights Templar. And he is going to have them rounded up on Friday, October 13th, 1307. He's going to have a large portion of the Knights Templar arrested in France and placed in prison. And so many students believe that like the bad omen of Friday the 13th comes from like the old Jason movies and stuff. That's actually not true. The original like Friday the 13th is a really bad day stems from what happened to the Knights Templar. So, anyways, they're rounded up and they're placed in a prison in Dome, France. You can actually Google it and see where they have, whilst there and imprisoned, they made carvings all on the walls and things like that. And unfortunately, many of them were just horribly and brutally tortured. And, because of that, they confessed to a lot of false charges. Because, when you're sitting there being brutally tortured, at some point you just go, fine, sure, I did whatever it is that you are saying that I did, because I just want you to go ahead and kill me instead of having to endure this continuous torture. And so, unfortunately, that's what happened to a pretty decent amount of Templars. Now, there are Templars that escaped the Friday the 13th, roundup, so to speak. And those that escaped it, supposedly, this is again part of the legend here, were able to get the treasure of the Knights Templar, smuggle it out of France, and they went to Scotland. Okay, so before I get ahead of myself, this is like a video that's shorter than 4 minutes, that's really quick and explains the fall of the Templars. But again, there's all kinds of mysteries about what happened to them after, the very infamous Friday the 13th. And some say that they sailed to the Americas, the New World, and started, and buried their treasure. If any of you watch or have seen, there's a History Channel documentary series called The Curse of Oak Island. And there's a lot of theories about how the treasure that is supposedly buried there is the very famous like Knights Templar treasure. It's really cool. I challenge you at home to like go Google it or YouTube and watch like trailers for The Curse of Oak Island. It's on its like 8th season. I watch it every Tuesday night. It's an interesting show. But then there's also theories that, that they kind of morphed into new, like kind of secretive societies like the Freemasons. And of course, the Freemasons are very famous here in the United States because many of our founding fathers were Freemasons. There's even theories that a lot of the Knights Templar treasure, once it came to the New World and the colonies began to form, that some of the treasure was actually used to fund the American Revolution, which I kind of have a hard time believing that, because if that were true, then like, why did we have things happen like Valley Forge? But I mean, like, that was pretty bad times. Why didn't we use some of that treasure to go buy some meat and stuff? But anyways, there's, again, it's fun to look up stuff about them. and you know, like it's kind of shrouded in mystery and intrigue. And so again, the Knights Templar is kind of a fun group or organization from medieval history to look into. Tomorrow, we are just going to simply be watching, guys, this documentary. It's about 45 minutes or so. And that's why I went ahead and I already posted the Crusades quiz. I'm even letting my in-person kids, if they want to, like, go ahead and take the quiz tonight, so that, you know, during the class period tomorrow, we're just kind of free to chill and watch this. So those of you online or at home, due to quarantine, know that, my prayers are with you guys. And, it's getting kind of crazy. So wash your hands, wear your masks, try to social distance the best you can. I know Thanksgiving coming up, that's hard. Anyways, if there's anything I can ever do, always email me, because I know there's so many of you that are going online that are used to being in person. Please know that I'm still here for you always. So with that being said, this is my last video for this lesson, and have a happy Thanksgiving and wonderful week off. I'll see you guys November 30th. Bye.